2A family, what's good with you? It's your boy 2A-N-LA. As always, fam, anything I say in this episode, prior episodes, and future episodes, it's just my personal opinion. You shouldn't take it as fact. You shouldn't take it as law. Always do your own homework and come up with your own conclusions. Right about now, fam, I'm gonna ask you to go ahead and tap that like button for your boy. All right, good looking out. If you're new to the channel, I'm gonna ask you to go ahead and subscribe. I'm pretty sure you're gonna enjoy the content. Look, worst case scenario, you can always unsubscribe later. And if you are an existing subscriber, you are not a subscriber, you are my family, and I appreciate you more than you could possibly imagine. All right, let's get this episode rolling. So look, fam, this is going to be a short episode. You know, usually I'm coming at you with the hot firearms and accessories and all of that kind of stuff. But every once in a while, I sit down and I just like to talk to my family, you know what I'm saying? As a way for us to kind of come together and discuss the things that are going on in our lives and in our world, right? And so I think I'm going to make this one of those days. I usually, look, fam, look. Usually, fam, I try to stay away from politics, particularly now because I find that they are incredibly divisive. Everybody, when they group up, when people group up, their humanity tends to fly out of the window. And everything is about right or left. Everything is about, you know, blue or red. And I'm not with that. I'm not with that at all. Because I don't think it gets us anywhere. And I think we are in a situation now where the country is so divided. And I'm not exaggerating at this point when I say I feel like it's dangerously divided. When you look at all of the civil unrest that has taken place in recent times in our country, on the right and the left, it gives me pause. It makes me concerned because, quite frankly, I've said this before. Look, y'all, I'm not down with politicians. I don't like them, most of them. I don't like them on the right. I don't like them on the left. I think politicians are far more concerned these days about getting reelected and about raising money so they can be reelected and keeping their job. And quite frankly, the way you get votes, the way you fire up your base is to be in conflict with your opposition and not reasonable and intellectual discourse doesn't make people run to the voting booths. And then so they come up with these issues. They blow them up much larger than they are. They make the divide that's between the right and left feel like it's the Grand Canyon when really it's a small side street. and I feel like I don't like the media either, or don't like right media, don't like left media, because I feel like they're all about ratings and they want to gin it up. And so I think what we're seeing now is, and that's been playing out for a while, for some years now, and I think it is for people who do not have time. We're all busy. We got jobs. We got family. We have bills that need to be paid. We don't have time to fully, engulf ourselves in the issues. So many people out there who are more concerned with that part of their lives rely on their politicians, their parties of choice, their media outlets to inform and educate them. And they are doing a terrible job, in my opinion, at doing that. And so you have people who, and I say all this to lead us to the Second Amendment, because I do believe right now, more so than ever before, and it's always been bad, but it's worse now, that we are in the middle of a 2A war, and it's being fought on a lot of different fronts. It's being fought on the political front. It's being fought at the media level. It's being fought by smaller influencers and larger, like people like me, for instance, who are in, non-traditional media markets. It's being fought by non-profit groups, and everybody's got their slant, everybody's got their talking points, everybody's got their angles. I don't care about any of that. I don't care about any of that stuff. What I care about is the truth. It's the truth. And, I feel like, I should also mention it's being fought in our court systems as all these things are playing out. So as somebody who lives in one of the most gun regulated states in the union, you can imagine that, Second Amendment victories are few and far between for me. I don't get a lot to be joyful about when it comes to Second Amendment rights in the state of California. We've got a gun roster that limits what types of firearms we can buy. We've got, unless you're affluent and you have the ability to buy them anyway, and even then it's not easy. We've got, magazine bans that limit us from having just standard capacity magazines. We've got assault weapons bans here that limit the way our rifles are set up. And on and on and on and on. For years, it was impossible if you lived in LA City or LA County to get a concealed carry permit. So you could protect yourself outside of your home. And I'm just scratching the surface. These are just some of the things, some of the infringements that we have to deal with here in the state of California. But as I have seen things happen in recent weeks, we had a big win in the Bruin case in New York City that opened up not just concealed carry throughout the country, but also opened up how the courts have to look at Second Amendment type cases. And that was fantastic for us. And everybody was excited. But who wasn't excited? Democratic politicians who run on gun control weren't excited, right? And consequently, you have had this huge legislative push across the country in response to Bruin. So instead of just saying, okay, yeah, maybe we took it a little too far, no. People are doubling down on the left. And they're coming up with these draconian measures that they know are not going to pass muster once they hit the court system, but they don't care. All they care about is the next election. And I hear a lot of people, look, I have the utmost respect for people like Colion Noir, who's been at the forefront of our Second Amendment rights now for a really long time. I have the utmost respect for people like Guns and Gadgets and Armed Scholar, who are constantly, in Langley Academy. People who are constantly keeping us updated on what's going on in the news and in the judicial world and things that we should be looking out for. But I feel like even they are missing the point to a certain extent. They think that anti-gunners, gun control advocates are all about, hating guns. I don't necessarily think, particularly politicians and the media, I don't necessarily think that that's their motivation. they feel Democrats, anti-gunners, feel like they can run on gun control. I mean, when you look at the statistics, it's silly. You got assault weapons ban that are out there where more people die every year from getting hit by a blunt object like a fist or a hammer or a bat or something. Why are you guys so fixated on ARs? Sure, yeah, their deaths by those means are tragedies, no doubt, and maybe, in a given event or whatever, more people die. But you just had a guy in Canada go around and kill like 10 people or something like that with a knife. So it's the people, not the instrument. And to think that Democrats are and I hate saying Democrats because I feel like then people think, oh, all Democrats are anti-gun. I don't think that's true. In fact, I know it's not true. Particularly Democrats, people who vote Democrat. I'm not talking about politicians. I'm talking about just a voter band. So I think us 2A advocates have to be careful when we say, oh, the Democrats. You have a large segment of people who support you that are liberals, a large and growing section. So we want to be careful that we talk about the politicians and not the individuals, right? I think that's important. I think that's critical. So politicians, I can't believe there are too many really, really, really smart people on the left. They can't be naive enough to believe that the gun control laws that they espouse are really going to make a difference. If I said this once, I've said it a million times. You can't legislate criminals and you can't legislate crazy. And that is where almost all of the gun violence and deaths that go on in our country happen from. Criminals are fine with breaking the law. That's why they're criminals. So they don't care about whatever. If they're cool with committing murder and armed robbery, you think they are worried about a gun possession charge? They could care less. So they're going to do what they're going to do. And so you can't legislate against it. All you do when you legislate against it is impact people who want to obey the law. So it's nonsensical on its face. And you can't legislate crazy. These people who suffer from mental illness and depression, who are committing suicides and record numbers, you can't stop them with gun bans. So it's not going to work. And the people who are also crazy as hell and going out and shooting up you can't stop them either with gun bans. It doesn't work that way. And so I have to believe that politicians on the left are smart enough to be aware of that. I just think they don't care. I think they know that gun deaths are tragic. They make the news. They are something that they can run on. And regardless of what it means to regular citizenry, they are ready to, hang their hat on that gun control nail, because they know the vast majority of our citizens here are uninformed really about guns and gun control. If you're not a gun person, if you're not educated on guns, if you haven't really thought through this like I hadn't some years back, you would probably be pro-gun control. All these people are dying by guns. We should have more controls. And just at a cursory, superficial top layer, that makes sense, right? But if you really take the time to educate yourself and learn, you'll see that it doesn't make any sense. And you can get to that conclusion pretty quickly. And so I bring this up and I call it the 2A wars because I feel like now more than ever, we are fighting battles, and it has gotten the level of the vitriol on both sides is just at a level like unseen. Politicians are throwing out laws, and and the 2A community is throwing out court cases, and people are blogging and vlogging and doing all this stuff. And I just feel like, man, we are at a really historic moment in our country. And I'm just concerned, you guys. I don't know another way to say it. I'm just very concerned that we're going to get to a point where we can't come back. And so I think, look, fam, I want you guys to certainly fight for what you believe in. Absolutely, absolutely. But just be careful that you aren't adding to the energy of divisiveness. I don't want it to be about us against them. Maybe it has to be that way to a certain extent. Maybe it has to be that way at the political level and the media level, but it doesn't have to be that way with us. Instead of preaching to or talking down to people who may not be as informed as you are on the Second Amendment, take some time to educate them. Take some time to give them some facts that maybe they don't have, that maybe they haven't thought of. Instead of being angry, let's be educators. Let's be informers. Let's have dialogue. Cordial dialogue, cordial conversation, and talk some of these things through. Whenever I run into people who are pro-gun control, the vast majority of them are just not informed. It is not a part of their daily lives. It is not something that they focus on. And it may be very important to us, but that's us. That's us. And instead of looking down on them because they're not informed, let's take a little bit of time and talk to them and educate them and tell them why they should be concerned. I don't like the direction our country is going. I don't, for years and years, Democratic politicians, accuse the right of, game playing and misusing their positions of power to take advantage of the uninformed and to take advantage of people who are not in a position, people who are disenfranchised, and people who are not in a position to stop them. And what's crazy is I see it certainly in the 2A side of things. I see Democratic politicians doing the same thing. I see the same thing playing out in the media. I hear Fox News criticize Democratic politicians for their hypocrisy, and in the next segment, they're doing the same thing, and it's no different on MSNBC or CNN or any of these other media outlets. So I just feel like, look, fam, look. The takeaway today is less shouting, less anger, and more dialogue, conversation, education, because I think that's what gets us out of where we are now. All right? That's it for this episode, fam. Thanks for hanging in there with me. As always, take care of one another. And until next time, peace.